Welcome to the second Unity Developer Conference. It's extremely nice to have you here. We will be over 180 people at the conference, and that's 2.5 times last year, which is a bit overwhelming. And we sold out, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's exactly 1 year since the last conference, so it's been 365 completely crazy and wonderful days. Because the community grew by 2x, and there's two times as many forum posts, 2 times as many developers on our team. So everything is kind of growing and mushrooming and happening. A year ago, we released Unity 2.0, which was a very big release with 10 big new features and, I don't know, 300 smaller ones. And then a month later, we released Unity 2.01, which is a minor release, and just fixed some issues. A couple of months later, we did 2.02, which was well, it was really a major minor release, because we basically overhauled the whole system, fixed and optimized everything. And then this summer we did 2.1, which was really a major minor release. And the only reason we didn't call it 3.0 was we didn't want you to pay for the upgrade. And then we released Unity for Nintendo Wii. Became an authorized middleware vendor from Nintendo. And there are several the games in production right now, which is another huge step for us going into the console market. But it's not just us who have been busy. The whole community is bubbling over with content, and there's so many things going on, so many new releases. We got some really big brands on board, Disney, Sony, and it's just overwhelming. We got a full MMO being released, well, next week, based on Unity, and there's several others in production. There's virtual worlds happening, so people are creating virtual worlds and social spaces and all kinds of things. And Hangout.net was released a month ago. Flashbang Studios created a portal for Unity games called the Blurst, which is completely wonderful. There's big brands coming in to advertise with Unity. So the X game made by Aquaris from Brazil was shortlisted for the Cannes Golden Lions. And there's a bunch of other adver games out there. And there's Serious Games, where Serious Games Interactive in Copenhagen made a wonderful flagship title. And there's a bunch of other serious games and training titles and so on. So that's also really happening. But, well, there's more to come, of course. And today we're announcing something really big, as you know. And I'm going to get our CTO, Joachim Ante, to demo that to you.
Thank you. All right. So this is the Unity for iPhone build, and it basically looks just like Unity. It just has a couple of extra features in it. So for us, as you know, the most important thing in Unity, what we really always focus on, is iteration time. So with the iPhone, it's a completely different input system. Of course, you have the accelerometer, you have touch input, and the big question was how do we make a 1 second iteration time to try out content on the iPhone. So what we created is the Unity iPhone remote, and the way it works is that we send a live feed from the game view into the iPhone, so you can see on the iPhone your game running, and you can also see it in the game view. And we send the input from the device into the editor. So you can very quickly iterate and try out your ideas. So for example, we created this small Star Trooper demo here, and I can just go and hit play. And then I go on the iPhone, I go into the iUnity remote. I select the machine that is running the Unity iPhone, and then I can try my game and fly around. I can use touch input. I can use the accelerometer, and at any point I can just go in, hit pause. I can tweak one of the properties. For example, let's say I want to make the spaceship fly 10 times faster. I just go in here, modify the property, unpause, and go back. Woo. All right. So there are a lot of other features which were incredibly important for us. For example, we added native PRVT-C compression. It's a compression for the iPhone that is that compresses down to 2 bits per pixel, and it allows you to use really high res textures on the iPhone. It's a completely automatic pipeline, so you can just drop in your PSD file and it will compress it down for you, completely automatic. You can use JavaScript, you can use C#. We've made a AOT compilation module for Unity. So basically what that means is you can take your C# and your JavaScript. Unity will take the generated .NET DLLs and it will generate native ASM code for the iPhone. And then we will create an Xcode project and compile all of that, optimize it, and it will run on the iPhone. So, of course, first thing I want to show you how simple the build process actually is for the iPhone. So essentially we got it down to just hitting build and run. And what happens now is the Unity takes all the scenes, prepares a player, it does the AOT cross compilation for the iPhone, then it automatically launches Xcode in the background. It compiles all the files, takes the AOT assembly code and builds it, and then it installs it on the iPhone. And then Unity comes up. And you have the game running completely on the iPhone. Smooth frame rate, 30 frames per second for this scene. We've spent a lot of time optimizing rendering on the iPhone, optimizing JavaScript execution and C# execution. And it just works.
We created 2 licenses, new licenses based on the iPhone. So there's the iPhone Advanced, which has no splash screen. It strips the executable, so you get really fast load times. It supports asset bundles and .NET sockets, so you can make networked games. You can even make virtual worlds or MMOs on the iPhone. And that's just $14.99 per seat as an add-on to Unity. But we also know that there's a lot of indies who want to use this. So we created the iPhone Basic, which shows a splash screen made with Unity. But apart from that, it has all the features. It does the whole compression, the whole optimization, and the whole workflow that Joe just showed you. And that's just $3.99. But of course, you came here for more. And if you counted if you looked at the website and figured out who was doing what, there's been a lot of people in the company doing stuff that no one really knew what was. That's our secret labs. And Nicholas Francis, your co-founder, has been leading the secret labs, and he's going to demo what he's been doing.
Okay, good morning. Pleased to be here. Thank you. Okay, so here we have the Unity editor, as we all know and love it. And we're really, really proud of this editor. So basically, we think it's the industry-leading editor. There's no other tool is so good. Nobody else has to just press play to do your game. Our streaming asset pipeline is just the best there is. I mean, nowhere else do you get your assets into your game so fast and so easily. And then the building to multiple deployment platforms, how we handle all the assets for that is just fantastic. And our script property editing, just, yeah, it makes it all fly. You know this. So 1 year ago, after Unity 2.0, we looked at this and we thought, this is really, really good. How do we make it better? And what we did was basically that we rebooted. So we made we rewrote it from scratch. We threw out the old Unity editor and started over. And we made it using the Unity APIs. So that means that now everything is an editor window, as you know it. We use Unity GUI for all the in-game GUI stuff, because it is far faster than Cocoa. And everything is game objects and components. So yeah, basically, it's now completely scripted. The key thing of this is, of course, also that now you can extend to it. But yeah, I would like to do a small demo. So if we just switch machines, that'd be really nice. Good. Okay, so here's Unity 2.5. And you see Unity here, it looks a lot like the Unity we all know. There's a few major things, or minor things we tweaked. The play buttons, one of the most important features of Unity, are no longer tucked away in the bottom left corner where they're hard to find, and where you no longer notice if you're in play mode or not. Everything is tabbable, so if I want to drag something out, I can just do that, which is really nice for those with multi-monitor setups. I'll just get this one back in place. And then, of course, the place where I do most of the work, the actual scene view. We've done a lot of work to just make that, again, be completely smooth. And go in and tweak all the little things that could be better. So if we take, say, and just drag an object into the scene. So we have a light post here. Now, you know all this movement stuff, and one of the most requested features on the forum, apart from actually making the play buttons visible, has been snapping. So we introduced it. If you just hold down Command, you get snap. And you get snapping across all axes, all tools. We rotate. Yeah. Then we can actually see we can have a proper rotation widget, like you know from Maya and Max. And again, we can snap. But of course, the interesting part is that when I'm in move mode, how do you snap with the free handle? Because you can't really do a snap to grid because there's grid points everywhere in a perspective view. So instead, you just hold down Command and you get snap to surface. So now it is actually really quick and really easy to build your stuff. And these are some of the things we've been doing. So the basic idea is to have the tools at your disposal, but not be in your face all the time. We also changed something else. If you know the good old, all the drop-downs we have, we've now changed it into this sort of widget where you can just select which view you want to view it from. Now I'm in an isometric top-down. And now I'm back. So this is all really, really nice. And it's these tiny details that we've been focused on a lot. Because of all these tiny details, we're not quite ready to ship it yet. But it's just so fun to make them. So something else that is nice is that now anything in the editor can be scripted from your own scripts. So what you can do is you can just write a script that attaches to any component and provides an editor API. So I made a small one here, which attaches to a camera component. And this is some of the stuff we'll be shipping, and we'll be shipping the source for it as well, so you can see how we're doing this. And now down here, I have a preview of the camera. So as I move my camera, I can actually see what I'm doing. Isn't that fantastic? Just what you always wanted. So, and this is literally just a few lines of code to get this functionality in. So yeah, we've done a lot of stuff to like just make sure everything is nice. Everybody who's sort of, say I'm modifying my first person controller here, and I want to look from another angle. Bang, I always go through the terrain. If you ever model small closed environments in Unity, you'll have this problem, you go through the walls. So what we've done is now, right mouse, it's a first person control thing. So you just hold it down and you drag. While you hold down right mouse, well, you got first person control features. Nice thing is that I made this 2 days ago, just to have something cool to show off for the keynote, and it's now a feature in Unity. So with the new scripted editor, everything is so quick to make. And this is sort of something we'll be doing a lot moving forward. We'll be pushing in, I mean, we'll just be adding lots and lots of small details, handles you can drag around all over the place, but especially you can do this too. Because at the end of the day, this is about your games and giving you the tools you need to make those. So yeah, so that's sort of some of the stuff we're doing. Switch back, please. And if I could now find the clicker thingy. Good. So now, yeah, rewritten from scratch, it's a lot faster. This terrain demo went from 25 to 35 FPS in the editor on my machine with all shadows enabled. So we've optimized everything a lot as well. Unity GUI is a lot more powerful now, and it's a lot faster, so it's been optimized too. And we have a slightly larger API. 130 new entry points. So you can do everything that we can do. And everything is just one function call away. And that's basically it. So yeah, thanks a lot. But we have one more thing. Some of you might have heard that we were also working on a Windows version. This is true. So could we switch machines, please? I'll see if I can actually get this Windows thing to do some stuff. I need to go through a lot of dialogues here. So, Unity 2.5 on Windows. And again, we're quite happy about it. And with new first-person controls, you can even play sort of a mini flight sim in the terrain demo. I think I spent hours doing this. And yeah, we have everything working in here. The terrain editing tools, they're all here, and they just work. I can just, paint my terrain. And it's the same. This also means any extensions that you make in Unity using the Unity APIs will automatically work on both platforms. We're going completely cross-platform. It is the same code base, minus a very tiny layer of platform portability on top, and everything's the same. And it's all the scripting languages you know. So again, yeah, we're going to Windows, but we're doing it right. And we will not have dialog boxes all over the place. So yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. So with Unity 2.5, we'll make the license cross-platform so that current customers and newcomers will be able to install their Unity licenses on both Mac and PC and deploy to all platforms. Now, we'll also change the Unity Indie license to be more commercially viable. This means that standalone builds will have a loading screen that goes away. Web builds will have a temporary watermark that goes away. That it also means that you can target both Mac and PC from either platform, and it's still just $199. So with all those things we've done and achieved, and all the things we're going to do in the near future, let's just step one step back and ask ourselves why we're doing this. So Unity has always been and will always be about enabling everyone to create games. And this means games for the web, games for the iPhone, games for the Nintendo Wii, and every other platform we want to support in the future. It also means that we want to make it really, really enjoyable, and all the work going into the editor, the workflow, thinking about how you actually produce content, goes towards that. And finally, we want to build and participate in a community around this tool to make it really, really enjoyable and educational and effective to work with this tool.